Good morning. Today is May 7th, I believe, 2024, Wednesday. We continue with the Tanya studies. We're now on lesson 46. Very interesting lesson. I have questions, actually, more than answers. It's lesson 46 out of 53, so we're making good progress. So Tanya discussed the different levels of attachment to God, the union with God. So level starting from Asiya to Yetzirah to Beria to Atzilut. And Tanya basically talks about people that making an effort and then in different expressions of this effort reaching higher plateaus, higher connection with God. And then of course, that level, people who are completely, believing in the Almighty, to a greater extent or to less extent, if you will, practicing the mitzvot and prayers and Torah, and yet Tanya says in this case, what if after all these techniques that we studied in the previous lessons, this is I think our lesson 76 or 77, what if you still cannot do that? So Tanya says, even if you can do it, but even if you now Tanya talks about completely, how Tanya puts it, completely, the person who is completely void of knowledge, ignorant of the knowledge, and not observant of the rules and precepts of the Torah, still, Tanya says that even the morally, Tanya says, while morally and uncultivated and religiously ignorant may not feel God's presence, they will nevertheless draw the blessed infinite light into their souls through observing of a mitzvah. Whether they feel it or not, they are in God's presence, literally, and an act of disrespect to the king is therefore judged with severity. And then says, even consuming a very minuscule amount of chametz, or moving forbidden muktzah item, denigrates the holiness which is drawn through the mitzvah observance upon the soul of even the morally uncultivated and the religiously ignorant, just as it would compromise the holiness of a tzaddik soul, because we all have one Torah and one law. Tanya says, because the light and the holiness of the Shabbos and festivals, that's the desecration of Shabbos and eating bread on Pesach, shines even on the soul of the morally uncultivated and religiously ignorant. So he is culpable with his soul, and of course the punishment, unfortunately, for the person for profaning the holiness with a kares, which is cutting over the soul in the next world, soul just disintegrates. Or for eating the chametz on Pesach, is stoning for violation of Shabbos. These were the tough rules. They still rule today in place. So the question will be, who is Tanya talking about? Because he's talking about somebody who is completely ignorant. I mean, we see people walking around, not doing any Torah mitzvot, not coming for the prayers, not studying Torah at all. So you can say the person who completely wasn't raised Jewish in terms of observant, he's not really responsible. He doesn't know. And Torah says, well, even the person doesn't know. The Tanya is using the word ignorant, religiously ignorant, and morally uncultivated. Morally uncultivated and religiously ignorant. I have troubles reconcile this, because I think the Torah is talking about somebody who is still doing some mitzvot. He probably is going to the synagogue. Maybe not all the time, or maybe still not doing mitzvot, not putting tefillin, but he still occasionally does something. He does have basic awareness of some powers above him. So that person, knowing what the punishment is, gets this punishment if he's in a violation, even though he feels like, listen, I don't have much attachments. I mean, I don't try anything, so I'm not responsible for anything. I don't know. Well, I think Tanya is not talking about somebody who was raised in the island, in a Mowgli, in the woods, and completely didn't know anything. That is, I think Talmud grades that person as a captive, as an ignorant captive, the person like the stories, the person raised Catholic, he didn't know he was Jewish, and he was going to church and having a cross hanging on himself and all that. He was a good person, was raised Catholic. And then he discovered he's Jewish. Well, he's not responsible for anything he has done that Jewish law requires him to do, and he didn't. He didn't know. And then at age 28, he just found out that he's Jewish. Well, then he started to become observant Jew. Okay, maybe even rabbi eventually. And also unique stories we can hear. But if the person is not doing nothing, he's not doing anything, then I think he's not responsible for anything. He is just ignoramus. But if the person knows basics, like the person lives in Israel and he's Jewish and he knows what's going on, it's not like he lives somewhere in North Dakota in America and he never saw a Jew in his life and then he found he was Jewish. Well, he's not responsible for his past life. That he ate on Pesach, he was eating ham sandwiches. On Shabbat, he's going fishing. Well, he doesn't know. He's not Jewish, and he rarely even came in contact with the Jews. He doesn't know that he's Jewish. But as a person who lives in Israel, and he's surrounded by what's going on here, he can't escape the fact that he is aware of what's going on. So if he doesn't have to make any small effort to know what Judaism is. He lives around it. He sees people dressed in black hats and kippas and different ways of expressing themselves. You know, there's thousands, hundreds and thousands of synagogues, and if somebody tells me, why do you go to synagogue once in a while? It's not for me. Well, that person, I think Tanya is talking about, responsible. Or maybe not. Maybe even that person who never stepped a foot in the synagogue and never made an effort. So is a person punished for not following the Torah laws at any extent because he just never did it before? Or is it only applicable to the people who have done it, who knows at least basics of that, and then conscientiously saying, listen, it's not for me? That person is then saying, well, it might not be for you. You don't feel any attachments. I understand that. You're still a good person. You're not robbing bank. You're still helping people. You might be working as a driver of the ambulance or serving in the army, doing great work. Nothing wrong with that person. Yet, Tanya talks about that if that nice person still eats bread on Pesach or on Shabbos, he is eating ham sandwiches and going fishing, that's a difficult answer. Okay, you got my point. We're going to read more, see if Tanya will elaborate. So far, it's a little bit warning. Judaism normally, and Tanya is very kind and tolerant of people, the religious beliefs. Judaism is not a dogma, a religious of the fanaticism that if you don't do a small thing, then it just huge problems for you. No, Judaism says everybody does to the extent of that, but there's a certain range of mitzvot of what we're allowed. You can be very, very extremely observant, or not as observant, but still will be within a halacha. The person walking down the street in shorts, that's not dressed properly, quote unquote. Judaism doesn't look at it as such a big problem. So if you live in a warm climate and everyone's wearing shorts, well, you're wearing shorts, no big deal. But very, very observant person, ultra orthodox, probably will have long pants and long sleeves and all that. And for him, that's what he feels gets him called attachment. That's what God requires. And you still have to do mitzvot. You still have to live your life honestly and good. But how you think and how you feel and what do you do and how do you act, that combination of expression is mirroring expression of God to us. God works to us in a certain way that causes creation. And we, the Jews, must act according to the mission. Shema says that I brought you from Israel in order to be your God, not just to bring you in here, left you, and then you're on your own. You have a mission, and if you don't fulfill that mission, even if you're a good person, but if you don't fulfill the mission, what the Jew's supposed to do, then that is not the purpose of the creation, and that is not what I want. That's what I believe Hashem is telling us. Well, Let's talk more tomorrow about this to see what you think about it. Send me your feedback. I got some feedback from people and questions. Some of them I know the answers, and some I not. But it would be good to hear what you can think about it. All right. Have a great day. Today is Wednesday. So from Wednesday on, we'll say Shabbat Shalom. From Sunday to Wednesday, Shavuot or good week. So it's Shabbat Shalom. We're turning the corner toward Shabbat. Be well, be good, be healthy, and talk soon.